Sombra. But you got right.
Yes.
Oh my god, I'm so excited. But yeah, I love that line, and I love welcome to my reality, because it really is like, you're in my world now. Yeah.
Great. I like, people always underestimate the engineers.
Were you done talking? I've said that to Keith 3 times today. But I also like to say, I love the one of, I'd love to stay and chat, but I'm not going to.
She's sassy.
Yeah. Ta-da!
Yes. There's so many, now I'm like going through all of
So
them,
many.
and I'm like, oh god, I like that one too, and I like that one too.
I must say though, every time I ask people for their favorite voice line when I'm signing, we record so many, I forget a lot of them, and they come up with some that I haven't signed in a while, and I'm like, oh my god, that was so good. Oh, that was so good too. It's like Sombra has some really good lines, Michael. Good job.
Thanks, dude.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you all have about 600 lines at this point. So.
I thought so. I used to say 400, but that
Yeah,
makes sense.
600 now.
So that's why we forget them.
I really do like the recent one. Let us discuss your failures. That sounds like so many disapproving aunties in my world.
Alright, let's move on to the next question.
He massages her.
Alright, so do you guys have any extreme or funny stories that you'd like to share with anyone, whether it be voice acting or when you're in the studio or anywhere else?
Oh, anywhere.
Anyway.
This is a voice acting panel, so not maybe anywhere.
I was gonna say, this is a family show. Oh gosh.
I told this at Sundance I wish I had been to Sundance. At South by Southwest, I was there with Michael, and you haven't heard the whole story though, Michael. When I got booked for the job, I was really excited, and when I got to the recording session, I was worried. I'm not Mexican. And Sombra is. And I thought, oh my gosh, if they find out, if Blizzard finds out that I'm not Mexican, they're gonna fire me. You know, I didn't know how much they knew, and I'd done my Mexican accent as best I could. And so at the beginning, so I was being really careful, and then, so we're gonna do some Spanish lines, and I'm being all Mexican. I'm like, órale, güey, la neta. So the moment they didn't speak Spanish, I just wanted them to hear it, right? And Andrea Torres, our voice director, was like, okay, so we got these lines, let us know if something's poorly translated or if something doesn't make sense. And Sombra's voice lines in Spanish are a little 90s, they're kind of retro, they're not like something that people necessarily might say these days. So I start freaking out because I don't know them all. I'm like, de pelos? Who says that, So I'm texting, while we're in the session, thank God I have my phone, I'm texting my girlfriend, who's Mexican, Paula, can you tell me if this is correct? Okay, next one, this. And then we record, and we do a few, and then okay, hold for a second, Carolina. And I start texting again, frantically, making sure that everything was correct, because I've been to a lot of voice sessions where the Spanish isn't always, you guys work with Mexicans, so they were, but because Andrea asked me, are they correct? I started double checking everything. Me hace lo que viento Juárez. I don't know what the heck that means. Now I do. But Colombians don't say that. So I was freaking out. We recorded the whole thing. Blah, blah, blah. I tell this story at South by, and then Michael goes, oh yeah, we knew you were Mexican since the beginning. And I'm like, they see my IMDb or whatever, and so then I was like, well, thank you for believing in me, but, I thought I had to fool them for a few sessions.
Blizzard only hires Mexicans.
Sometimes they really want authenticity, and,
Keith, did they know you weren't really Swedish?
Well, we don't know for sure. I'm on 23andMe, and I'm as diverse a person as you can be. I'm Black, Native American, West Indian, French Canadian, Irish, Lithuanian. The Lithuanian one just popped up recently because they're always they're getting more information and stuff. So the verdict is still out. It is possible.
You may very well be
I'm definitely European, so I don't know. There's lots of things still to come, so it's.
All right.
One day I might be like, what? I am Swedish.
but you are a gnome.
A gnome.
Troll? He's not a gnome or a dwarf. Dwarf, sorry. I'm not a gnome.
Or a gnome.
Something small.
Oh, I'm really good game, baby. You should too late. It's called Overwatch. We're gonna play it at home real soon. I promise.
It was Torb. You know how they call Rocket? They're always calling him a rat or a this or that in Guardians. I thought maybe there would be a few different things they said to Torb.
I'm gonna save you. So on the line of on a similar tip as Carolina's story, I had been hired to play a devious, like basically evil madam, a woman who runs a brothel in a movie, and this particular scene was set in the slums of Mumbai. And I had done the audition. I had done the audition in an Indian accent. No problem. That's in my lane. I'm Indian. It's not too hard. So I did that, and then 4 days before we started shooting, they sent me the final script, and they said, "Great, so all your lines are in Hindi." And but that's, and I said, "That's not actually a language I speak." And I never told you that I spoke that language, but I also don't want to lose the job. Like, I didn't say it like I just said it to you guys. But I was a little bit shocked that they had just assumed that it was a language I spoke. So naturally, I also, as an actor who does not want to lose her job, panicked. And I called my dad and immediately had him read all the lines to me at the time. And my dad, God love him, gave me all the lines, but he read them like a big Bollywood actor. All your lines like this. You are Amitabh Bachchan as a woman. And my dad was an actor when he was younger in medical school, which is a whole other story. So he used to love giving me these line readings. So I learned them from him, but I needed to get I felt like I needed someone else to help me out. So I had the lady who was the writer's wife came and worked on them with me. And then the day of, I just basically, because of shooting, we ended up having about 30 minutes to shoot this entire group scene, this big, huge scene with all these people. We had 30 minutes before we had to finish it, and I had to say all my lines in Hindi. And needless to say, it didn't go as perfectly as I had hoped. But by the end of the day, after banging my head against the wall, it ultimately did come out. But that's the last time. That's when I started working with my friend who was a Hindi coach and being like, I'm going to need you to help me with everything always for the rest of my life until I'm able to speak all 900 Indian languages. Because it was a scary, scary thing to have to go on set and have that little time. And unlike being in a booth where you have the script and everything so you can read it, I was just panicked.
That's crazy. I had the first commercial that I ever got. When I auditioned for it, I read for the commercial, and then they have you read like the little legal, the real quick part that they say at the end, the little disclaimer. So I did that. I heard back from my agent a few days later, like, "Hey, you booked it, great, we planned it for the next week." So I showed up, they handed me the script, I'm sitting in the lobby and I'm looking over the script, just kind of practicing, going through the lines in my head, like, okay, let's see the final version of this, so I'll be ready when they call me in. Cool, I got this, cool, I got the body of this commercial down. Oh, we ready? Cool. And they go in there and they go, "Oh, hey, Keith, let me introduce you to George. George just read the body of it, so come on in, we came in for your part." And I realized at that moment that I'm reading the really fast legal part at the bottom.
Oh my God.
But I actually looked back because my agent didn't say anything. The part that I didn't look at, and I've got to go, and do like really, really quickly at the end. It was just one of those moments where you're hoping they don't see it on your face, and you're just going like, Needless to say, it went fine, but it was one of those things like, first commercial, I was super nervous, so I was like, I'm gonna get this right, and I can't believe I didn't look over, I didn't even think to look over the legal. It went fine, but it was just one of those things like, oh my God, I have to read this super fast, I can't practice now, I'm meeting everybody.
You're like,
Once I start reading, it's on, so we're going for it. Okay, no, I knew that was me, sure, you read the commercial. That was you. I enjoyed it. Tell me which part I was doing.
Wait, Michael, we need a story from you.
Yeah, so since we have you and Anjali here, I think one of my favorite things, and you guys have sort of touched on it a little bit, is both of your sessions. One where you worked with on getting the Mexican accent, and then obviously your Hindi lines when we added those to Symmetra. And I just think that it's amazing and deserves like a giant round of applause for figuring. Just to set the scene for you, I think you're in the studio in the booth, you've got the engineer and director, and I think particularly for Carolina's session, we wanted to have some help for her, like some native speakers, and I think we were on a conference call with to Mexico City, and then, you know, it was like, I think yours was still from New York at the time.
Yes.
And then we were recording from LA, and I was calling in from Irvine. And so there were probably like 12 people on the line after every
No
line.
pressure.
Yeah.
And I can't see them. I can only see
Yeah, you can't see anything yet. So, yeah, I don't know how that experience was for you, but I'm totally amazed that you guys were able
I had to
to
take my shoes off. I was sweating so much. I was like, oh, get comfortable.
I had to put higher heels on. Just to get comfortable. Just to find my stance again.
I had to take my high heels off.
But Michael, don't you have a story of like freaking out as a writer or having an experience
Or just
while
really
you're
funny
directing? Or something funny?
Something funny. Oh boy, you guys are just putting me on the spot.
That's why you're here.
We're all on the spot. We're all on the
They're
hot
gonna
seat.
ask us questions.
That's right.
Why can't we ask you questions?
I don't know, all my funny and exciting stories when it comes to writing is usually like impending deadline that I finish for, so.
Yeah, I feel you. All right, work on that answer.
Okay.
Multitask.
You guys, there's some anime fans here too. So this one is kind of funny. So you guys know Hunter x Hunter? Alright, so I play Hisoka in Hunter x Hunter, and I came in and Tony Oliver directs the series. He does a fantastic job, and I'll explain this sort of the right way. So we got to a particular scene that's kind of famous for Hisoka. I didn't know what was coming because I didn't look ahead at anything. I wanted to just be surprised, and this is what I get for it. So there's a particular battle. And Hisoka, his character, he gets very excited about fighting. That's him in a nutshell, basically. So he gets, you know what I'm talking about. So this is the pivotal scene where he gets as excited as anyone could get about a fight. And so I had to make the accompanying noise, the sound for him as he's that excited. And so it came to that point, I'm like, okay, I gotta, all right, sure. So like, I did it, I gave it my all, I was like, boom, okay, I'm gonna go for it. I did it, and I was like, Tony, do you want another one from me? And he's like, absolutely not. We will. That was great when we were using that one. Please, do not do that again. Like, it wasn't my idea.
You delivered.
I didn't want to have to do it a bunch of times, to be honest. So sometimes you're like, well, I better do this right because I don't want to do this like 20 times. Well, that would have been a funny story too. Like, that I spent all day doing that. It would have been very uncomfortable at the time, but.
Can we hear it?
Yes, you can watch Hunter.
Alright, I've got a really easy question for you guys.
Thank you.
Were there any characters you voiced that you really connected with?
Nope.
That's it, folks.
Can we extend this to more than voice acting? Would you guys mind if we did that? Yeah. Because recently I had an experience that I was not expecting to be as exciting as I thought it would be. And Winston's gonna sit here and share it. I just finished doing a season of a show called We're Alive Frontier on Project Alpha at Geek and Sundry. And it's essentially, I describe it as if Critical Role and The Walking Dead had a baby, it would be that show. And I hadn't played RPGs in years and years and years, and I was convinced I was going to die in the first episode, and I would be fine no matter what, because the difference between this gameplay and D&D is that there's no resurrecting, there's no potion, healing potions. Once you die, and you're off the show. You're off the island. And so I created a character that I didn't realize how close she was to me until we really got into shooting, and we were shooting 12 hours a day and just kind of going straight through and shooting the whole time. So we weren't out of the game at all. And I ended up falling so in love with this character, it actually made me feel like, oh, you'll be good in the zombie apocalypse. You'll be okay. You might be a lot tougher and a lot darker, but darker minded, but you'll be okay. And I really, 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 really like her. And you can still check it out on projectalpha.com. But it's a really fun show. Josh Petersdorf is in it too. Ivan Van Norman's the GM. And since I'm so used to playing disapproving Indian mothers and doctors, I can't imagine why. This was a nice diversion from that.
I play a lot of characters that are usually very different than me, actually. But so I connect, and also with voiceover, you don't always get as much time with the character. Like the character may exist for a long time, as you go in for like a 4-hour session or even less sometimes, depending. on the character. But I'm a big pop culture fan. I always have been. I was going to cons when I was like 7, 8 years old and stuff. So I find I connect with characters in real world ways. Meaning a character like that I grew up on a game or something. So if I grew up playing Sonic the Hedgehog and then I get to play Vector the Crocodiles, and like that's super cool for me. And so I connect, like that's just like a geek moment. I'm a huge fan of Lupin the Third. I grew up watching those. It's a voice Lupin and Jigu Straystone. Like that was like a pinch me moment for me. Like I just loved that. Getting to work on something like Overwatch, which when we did it was nothing in the sense that nobody knew what it was. It was a new game. It was a new project. So it meant nothing. You could have ran around and said Overwatch. Oh, nobody would have. It was nothing. So something like that that's just being birthed, and now we're all a part of that. And it's influenced so many. The real life implications of that, meeting all of the fans, meeting everybody who just say, you just love the game, and I don't care which characters you love or which part of the game you love. It's an amazing connection for me to be in any way a small part of that, and that connection that I have with all of you, and that goes for a lot of the different characters I've gotten to voice. Some characters are just real fun, or was a big break for me in a certain way, or introduced me to certain directors, which I work with a lot now. So I find with a lot of different characters, I have all these weird real world connections. It was the first time I got to do this, or I got to really show that I could play a totally different character in the anime monster, or like, so there's a lot of different things I've done in characters that have different kinds of connections for me, so. They're all my babies.
Not because Michael's here and I want to like suck up to him or anything, but
For sure.
you know what I was thinking is we usually play a character, the movie wraps, it takes a year or two to come out, then you see it once or twice maybe, and then you kind of don't see it again. The really cool thing about this, which I hadn't experienced before ever, and obviously Overwatch is, you know, this crazy phenomenon, but the fact that we go to conventions and meet you guys, Sombra is living in me every day because I'm saying her voice lines every day for you guys or for me or for a video, and so it's like a character that sticks with us a little bit more than the other, or a lot more, because we're constantly talking about it or being it or recording new lines, you know, so that's what's so cool. And I think that that's why Sombra's been my favorite so far. Also because I share the dark sense of humor and her sarcasm. And I was telling this story yesterday with Anjali that I used to audition for a lot of commercial voiceovers in New York, and the sound engineer at my agency was like, yeah, Carolina, I love how you do that, you know, those dry takes, you know, they're really cool. And I'm like, yes, dude, but I'm not booking commercial work. What's going on? Because, you know, commercials are like silly and stupid. And all of a sudden, for Sombra, I can freaking use it and it works, you know? And so that's why when I auditioned for her, I felt like I just kind of, oh, I get it. Yeah, she sounds like this, you know, in my head. So it's something that comes naturally to me, and that's why I feel like I've connected to her so well. Thank you, Michael.
I think for me, since obviously I haven't voiced any characters, from a writing perspective, there's usually 3 characters that pop up in mind to me, just in terms of Overwatch, as the ones that I connect the most to, and probably have the easiest time writing. So, not because Carolina is here. Sombra is one of them. I was going to see if I could get through the panel and say Sombra right.
Oh,
I
that's
failed
okay.
at like the first hurdle. But I really like writing Sombra because she's got that like dark sarcasm and she's kind of over it, and you know, like anyone who goes through life has those feelings sometimes. So it's fun to have a character to get those out in. And then I really like the other 2 parts of like my nerd triangle. So there's Winston, obviously. I get to do all my super nerdy jokes with him, math jokes, etc. And then May is my other favorite character.
Really good at writing shade. Yes. Like I was thinking all of Sombra's lines, shade. Most of Symmetra's lines, elegant shade. Like it's legit. You're the king of shade. We should have
We're all
more
into eggplant or something. What are those shade?
Nice shade. You're gonna call eggplant? Let's make 2 steps in the hashtag. Let's go with fun. Let's go with fun. But I was saying we should make a girl band that's Widowmaker, Symmetra, and Sombra, and call it the Queens of Shade.
That's true. Symmetra does have quite a bit of the shade.
Just discuss your failures.
Does that qualify as shade though, or is that just?
Yeah, that's just honesty. That's just legit. Like, now we're going to talk about how bad you did. Or, you were not meant for grades. Did she say something mean? I think she said something mean, but it sounded nice.
It's still mean.
Elegant.
Still mean.
Elegantly mean.
By the way, I came up with that. I got a funny story. See, I actually...
Do it, yeah! He was thinking of us.
So I think, being on the other side of the recording process isn't the most exciting one, but I do have one completely ridiculous story. So it was...
Wait, you get bored during our sessions? Is that what you're saying?
Shade.
Sometimes I don't pay it. So we were recording Moira for Retribution, and she was a recording actress. She was recording off, I think she was in Canada or something, so it was hard to get time for her to do the lines. She had a lot, because she talks a lot in Retribution. And so, because at work, I literally am in an office with about 18 people, it can be hard to do the voice sessions. And so sometimes I just stay at home and do it. And so I'm sitting at home, and we're almost through the session. We have just the last 20 lines to get through. I get a knock on the door. I'm like, oh, hold on a second, I'll be right back. I think something's on fire or something. So I go out, and it's I open the door, and it's the exterminator. And he's like, hey, we agreed, it's time for me to go through and fumigate. And I'm like, oh, okay. Can you wait a little bit? He's like, no, I pretty much have to do it. So I'm like, okay. So I go back on the headset and go, I think there's some sort of technical problem here. Skype isn't working quite right, so I need just give me a couple seconds to figure this out. Disconnect. Oh yeah, Wi-Fi's really bad. So I let the exterminator in, I get in my car, and I drive down the street about 8 houses to where I know there's an Wi-Fi network. And so I'm sitting in the driver's seat of my car. I have my laptop here on the passenger seat. Oh hey, seems like the Skype issues have cleared up now, so I think I'm good. And I'm wearing studio headphones, sitting in my car, typing on the laptop, and I just see people drive by. And I think actually a security person drove in front of my car, and I was like, please don't come tap on the window. So that's my really exciting story.
Alright, thank you guys for sharing. So this is actually what you guys have all been waiting for. We're gonna go right into the Q&A session.
What have we been reading?
So how we're gonna do this is just raise your hand if you have a question, and I'm gonna come running at you at full speed. And I'm going to
Are they using this mic, right?
right, but some
So people, okay, you got it.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Nice, sweet, thank you.
yeah,
We're
so
doing that.
that's how we're gonna do it.
All right.
So
They're scared.
Winston is ready to answer.
Oh, here we go. Go, Jess,
Oh
go.
my gosh. And
Where is yours again?
Oh, you go. You choose it, Jess.
Where's the running at them at full speed? That's what
do you want me to run? I'll run.
You raise your hand up, I'm gonna come at you like a rhino! Where are you?
Completely random, okay? I'm just running at a random place,
And she
okay?
goes round the corner. Bam.
Boom.
Please say your name.
Hi, my name is Gandhi. Where do you guys go, especially if you're new, where do you go to look for all these beautiful, wonderful, amazing auditions that you guys are going to?
That is a really, really good question.
Well, our agents are sending us, we're getting auditions from our agents or directly from studios and people that we've worked with. The idea is first to get on everybody's, there's no Rolodex anymore, but everybody's list of who to call. If you're trying to get started as a voice actor, there's a website, I want to be a voiceactor.com. There's a great book called Voiceover Voice Actor that kind of answers everything. So it's not just how do I voice act, but how do I get into it? Do I need a manager? How do I get an agent? Where do I get auditions? What do I do to warm up? So I would recommend those because they kind of answer all the questions you might have. Sitting going what do I do to get started? How do I get to these auditions? It's all in there. So you kind of got to get started first, and then I think they'll come to you. Just trying to think.
Yeah, we just at the beginning, you look online for stuff, but now we have agents and they do that work. So I don't know how they get those. They get called by Blizzard and say, hey, send us these people. So
Can you make Blizzard call me?
hey Jeff. This is yeah.
All right, thank you very much. So selecting next target. We're gonna go over here. Please say your name
Selecting the target.
and your question, please.
My name is Emma. I'm just curious if you guys can say your ultimate lines.
Apagando las luces.
I love when she does that.
It's just so that Torbjörn! Sorry. Yahi param vastavikta hai!
It's high noon.
All right, questions. We're gonna go over here. You in the gray right there. Yes, you.
Hi, my name is Dempsey, and this is a question for Keith. Since you're playing a Swedish character, Torbjörn, have you ever considered learning Swedish?
Yes. It seems like it would be a lot to learn. They have great apps for it though now, so I have thought about it.
Kill.
All right, next one. We're gonna choose over this section here. Agatsuko.
Hi, my name is Candace, and my question is, what skill set do you think is the most important to have when you're going into voice acting? Like, we know having a unique voice is important, but what other skills would you want to look for if you were doing an audition yourself?
Imagination. A very active imagination. A lot of times, what I'm learning, because honestly, voice acting has been one branch of the acting tree that I come to pretty late in the game, and it's the place where I get to do the most outrageous things. You know, because if you think about it, in voice acting, I can be a little Indian woman, I can be a dragon, I can be a chair. I don't know why I keep saying I love chair. I can't be a chair. I was a sofa yesterday on the live feed. I feel so bad.
What's your chair voice?
Hey guys. Yeah, sit on me like everyone else.
What's your name, Sharon?
Harry.
Are you Pee Wee Herman's chair?
No, everybody thinks that. I don't get that paycheck.
You should really change your name because that's Pee Wee Herman's chair.
Uh-oh.
Kind of known famous already.
I hate my life. No, I don't know. But I mean, you could be anything you want. And so even that moment where I'm like, oh no, that's not a good enough chair. Like I would want to play and think about all the different ways you could be that thing, and it doesn't necessarily sound like you think it would sound. Like that character who was I talking about this the other day? In The Secret Life of Pets, the bunny played by Kevin Hart.
Yes.
Like, okay, you see a bunny and you think it's gonna be it's fluffy and fuzzy and blah, and then all of a sudden it's Kevin Hart
With an evil eye.
that kind of
Yes.
thing of not allowing the visual to keep your imagination from flying. That right there I think is really, really important.
Yeah, and first and foremost, voice acting is acting. So I mean, just being able to act, I mean, that's the most important thing. Is people do voiceover that don't do a whole bunch of voices. They just have one great voice, or they're really good at commercials, or trailers, or promos.
And
or,
they sell you products.
and you can be really successful. So, but if you come to like animation and that kind of stuff, I would say like flexibility is because you have so much. There's so much possibility. The range is endless.
like, make sure
So be
you're
flexible.
She's such a show off.
You might have seen something.
What is happening here?
You wanted to be in the middle, Torb.
Yeah, it was clearly the right choice.
That was for comedy, make it stop. She started it.
Michael
She started it.
There's a curtain here because
We need him. We need him alive. Don't do that to him. Stop. He's never going to come back for a panel with us again if we make him do this. I have to bribe him with a Winston.
I know we We promised him lunch, that's why he's here.
The other kind of flexibility. Not that one. Because it's a little bit like for character, you might look at, like you said, a bunny and it's supposed to be, you think it's going to sound this way. Usually you don't go that far off if it's something that's on camera. Right. You know what I mean? You don't just go, I've got this crazy idea for this doctor. What if? You don't usually do that. But with animation, you do. And you might show up for a session and you think, even if your audition was one way, they may go, we loved your audition and we like your body of work, but we want you to try this. And you're like, oh, like nothing like what I did at the audition at all. So you have to be ready to let everything go that you thought ahead of time while you were driving your session you're going to do, and just stomp on it, burn it to the ground, and go, let's start over, and do something different until you get to the right thing. So flexibility is very important. Guys,
Go this way, somewhere.
Over the rainbow.
You have to. It's like a knee-jerk thing.
My name is Greg Jones Jr., and still trying to find a way to word this. This is about anime dubbing specifically. I notice there's not a lot of black anime characters, and very seldom, when they do show up, I notice very seldom are they actually voiced by black actors.
Right.
And as somebody who's interested in getting into voiceover and dubbing, what steps do you think I could take to change this?
That's interesting. This is really strange, but I find in animation in general, sometimes that's like a niche that you wouldn't think it would be, because you think there have to be a lot of black voiceover actors. But you can kind of actually get work being black and being a good voice actor there, because there are certain roles that they do want somebody who's black to play that. And like with anime, I am black, and I've auditioned for black characters and had white guys beat me out for them. So I mean, it depends. But how would you change that? I don't know. You know, it's a tricky thing.
I was gonna say, I've been.
So there's a past history that's not nice. It's not good. And so in Hollywood, there's somewhat of a problem, and I definitely agree with that. With voiceover, I see it more as there are some shows where it's very important for the producers to actually have everything be true to what it's supposed to be, and there are other shows where the producers don't care so much that they're not going to not hire you because you're black. You just might be playing not a black character. Do you know what I mean? Like in anime, it would almost hurt you more because there's less black characters. There really are. So in Japan, they'd have to start making more black characters, but there's not as many I have no idea what the ratio would be, but you guys know. It's pretty low. So if you were forced to only play that, you would have less of a career. Does that make sense? So, but you know, hopefully.
But we want to audition for all sorts of things, you know, all ethnicities. If we can, if I can sound British, let's do it. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, because British people are not having a hard time working. It's not
Right, you're not at all.
No, but I will say, early on in my career, it's strange. Early on in my career, as a theater and as a TV actor, because there weren't so many Indian roles, it didn't matter that I was Indian. I just went in and auditioned, and there happened to be, very rarely were they like, well, you can't do this because you're not white. Like I had that experience in high school, but I didn't have that experience in the professional world when there was zero opportunity. As we have become more careful, we've sometimes lessened our opportunities to remember that we are not defined by our race. And especially in voice acting, you are not defined by anything that this package that you are in has to offer. But if you want there to be more roles out there, then yeah, we have to create them. But because that's the only way they're going to get created. But if you're excited to use your voice for anything in the world as an actor, you know, as an excited actor would, then go for it. Be that chair.
Okay, next question here.
Overwatch character, 29.
We'll go with you,
Hero
sir.
29.
Tell us your name.
Hello, my name is Jacob. Okay. My name is Jacob, and the question that I have for all of you is, it's kind of like not relating to voice acting or whatever, but if you all sucked at voice acting, where do you think you would be, and like, what would you be trying to like?
I'm not entirely sure every day that I don't suck at voice acting. Every now and then I'm like, really, you guys? You're gonna let me? Okay, fool them again. I'm gonna assume that you mean acting in general, not just voice acting. That we were not allowed to act. We'd be very serious people.
I would die. I would be a professional salsa dancer.
She would. Oh my God.
Well, I would have to work really hard at it, but that would be my dream.
Yeah, something creative, you know, a writer or a dancer or something. I used to break dance back in the day, so I thought, like, yeah,
How did we not know that when you did the? How did we not know that when we made the Dance Emotes video?
I don't know.
I really wish that
Because it was just
I was
a
doing
word.
I know, but I need some interviews.
The next time we do a dance emote video,
What?
if that ever happens again, then I will read it.
You all heard it. You all heard it
We're
here.
doing one now.
Oh my gosh, what would I be? So many things. I'd love to be a professional rock climber. Although I wonder if the shelf life on that job is very long. If you're really good at it, it's good. If you're my level, I think it might not last very long. I probably want to do something with animal charities or animals in general.
Like animal chairs. Oh my God.
I think I'd like to be a chair. I'm a very supportive person. I like to take care of my people. I think this like really big, soft, comfortable armchair so I can just hold you in my arms and say, it's okay, I got you. Yes! That's what I do. But yeah, animals too. I love the dogs.
I'd probably be like a video game writer if I could learn to get back
You keep on dreaming! Keep on dreaming, bro!
But to be more, actually answer the question, I think I would either be a more traditional type of designer, like an industrial designer, or I'd be a musician.
What instrument?
Cello.
Do you actually play a little?
Yeah, I played for like a decade. It was actually what I thought I was going to do.
There's no way you said cello that quickly and you didn't play. Like,
That's right, yeah.
cello. You play.
I was a bassoonist, actually. Yeah.
That's so cool. We need a little concert someday.
I know, we have the dog place at the house.
He should play, and then this guy can do slow-mo.
Slow-mo break, and we'll just kick our legs. We'll have the Overwatch band and cheerleaders. I said that
It's
quietly.
the Overwatch Talent Show!
All right, we got time for at least 2 to 3 more questions left. So, lucky person here will be. Hi, say your name and your question, please.
Hi, my name is Ashton Madrid, and I was wondering what's your favorite Overwatch League teams?
I'm not allowed to have one.
No,
so.
we're not allowed to, sorry.
So I can't answer this, sorry.
Yeah. Likewise.
We're not allowed.
You're allowed to.
All right, we'll just go.
Okay, I'll say this. I don't know that I have a necessarily a favorite, but I respect the Houston Outlaws.
My favorite team is whichever team actually plays Symmetra for the first time in an entire match. The gauntlet has been thrown!
That'll probably be Houston, too.
That's yeah.
They did give us the leggings. Houston gave us
they gave us some fun yoga
vamp
tights.
leggings.
You gotta get Luna to play Symmetra. Go out there and petition him.
Oh, there's a Sombra cosplayer in the background. I'm not biased at all, but
There's like a mercy, a
Everybody teams up to help her out. I love that. Oh, she's going in. She's going
oh my, she is going.
She is going in.
Hi, what's your name? My name is Anjali. This is a question about Overwatch. What are you guys' thoughts on the new hero Hammond? And also, how do you thoughts on the new Symmetra Weaver?
Michael Chu can verify this. I sent an email to him and Jeff Kaplan the day that the final teaser came out, where he just pops out and goes, that one. Full disclosure, disclosure, that was the night, that was the morning after we had found out that the Supreme Court was about to have a big change. And I had been really depressed the night before, and then that came out in the morning, and I was like, you guys just saved my brain.
No.
Thank you for making my day, week. It was just, I am so excited.
How does the hamster sound again?
It kind of sounds like a witch. That's why I am not voicing the hamster. Because
Dude who voices
Is he rapping?
Yes.
And who's the voice of the
John Lithgow.
So we have two voices.
Yeah, that's right. Two voices in one character.
I'm super excited, not just because hamster, but also because the gameplay looks really, really cool. Like, I want to figure out, I want to get in there and try to latch onto things and swing around. I mean,
Have you seen the gifs of Wrecking Ball?
Yeah,
so funny.
Of course. Lots of Monotypes memes, I'm sure. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, I saw the announcement trailer. It's funny because you had done that. You released just the ball rolling by real quickly first, and I was like, you guys think we know like this stuff ahead of time? We totally don't. So I didn't even pay that much attention to it. I kind of saw it and I was reading other things, and I actually thought it was like Junkrat's like wheat tire rolling by. Like I didn't even, you know what I mean? Like I didn't wheat something new like I was supposed to do. I was like whatever. So then when the announcement popped out, I was like, oh my god! And I had no idea. I thought it was such a cool, imaginative character. I love that he is, there's two voice actors attributed to him. I haven't seen a lot of play yet, so I don't know how I feel about the play, but I'm sure it's going to be amazing. It just seems like a cool addition.
Yeah, totally, super cute. We needed a little animal. Besides Winston.
And I'm just a little sad that it wasn't my Charlie. He's a little sad. Charlie Dog's a little depressed about it, I'm not gonna lie. He crawled into a corner and ate bacon for a week.
If Hammond was Indian, what would he sound like?
Are you trying to make me do the Indian chipmunk again? Because I'm really getting tired of this party trip.
So good at it!
People don't believe that there are chipmunks in India. It's not true. We have chipmunks in the banyan trees. It's just a very different kind of life.
But you were asking about the Symmetra rework. I'm super excited. I haven't actually had time to go home and play it, so I've been asking everyone that I meet, like, what do you think? What do you think? Is it awesome? Is it awesome? Is it awesome? Because yes, it's awesome. What I'm extra excited about is that it's bringing in a whole new group of people to try playing Symmetra, and I think making her much more viable across more maps. And I personally am really excited to like get in the game a little bit more, because setting up the turrets and then kind of sitting and reading a book, although shady and really fun to do in theory, I kind of like the idea of like getting in on everything. So that giant, massive super wall, I'm really excited about.
Can Mr. Writer tell us a little more about Hammond? Or like, was it supposed to be a rat? Did you ever have ideas of it being a dog? Charlie?
No, he was always a hamster pretty much from day one. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
I'm not going to say that we didn't try and play with people's expectations that it was going to be a little monkey or that was just an accident. Yeah, no, we knew his hamster from the first time that he was drawn with the ball. It was a little hamster. And not a little hamster, he's a giant hamster.
Oh, really? He's big?
Oh yeah, he's big.
I thought he was small.
No, he's a Pikachu size.
Oh, that's scary, dude. That's a giant rat.
Pikachu size. Yeah. Does everyone know how big Pikachu is? This is the fun thing about saying it's Pikachu size. Like, how big do you all think that Pikachu is?
87 centimeters.
Yeah, that's. Wait.
How many centimeters? Is it like dwarf size?
It's like a foot and 4 inches or something. Standard, that's, Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I don't care what size it is because hamster. Hamster.
I'm just glad there's a character whose height I can now make fun of, right?
Hey. All right, we have time for one more question, but actually, I'm gonna have Michael choose.
Michael Chu.
Choose. You see
We all did it, and I'm ashamed of all of us. I'm ashamed of all of
Alright,
us.
who really. How about red? In the red.
The red and the yellow, please stand.
Yes. And pretty bows. I know.
It's been cold.
It's so cold. It's so cold.
Please say your name and your question.
Hi, my name's Brianna, and I kind of wanted to know, like, how would you guys, like, for a character in Overwatch or your own characters, like, how would you spend the day, like, hanging out with them, or, like, how would you, like, react to them, like, their personality against yours?
Ooh. Characters in Overwatch or another character, you said?
No, us hanging out with our characters?
So I can start.
Yeah.
I think around the time of Overwatch, I will probably be dead. So probably wouldn't be very excited.
It would be a very mellow reaction. Gosh, that's a good. I don't know. If I was hanging out with Symmetra, I'd probably be exceptionally insecure around her because she's so cool. She's so elegant, she's so gorgeous, and she's got her handle on things, and she's so direct. The closest thing I can say to hanging around with someone who has the energy that I imagine her having was when I did Grace and Frankie, and I was sitting with Jane Fonda and trying to have a conversation with her, and you're like, you are Jane Fonda. And if she couldn't hear me, she was very direct about her answers, and she very clearly suffers no fools, and at the same time is gorgeous and like.
That came to my brain and I had to say it, I don't know. And we have some tequila shots, why not?
Well, I think we would connect as, on the family side, as being, dads and granddads and all that. So I would just like to get all of our families together, however giant that is. And just have the whole day to relax and just eat and celebrate together and get to know each other. And also, because I'm a homeowner, I would be like, hey, stuff's always breaking down. Like, how do you fix? Just give me some basics. I'm always like going online and like seeing how to fix the air conditioner and stuff like it's just crazy. So I would be like, yeah, Torbjörn here. Teach me, please teach me. But I think that would be great. It's so fun just to hang out and eat and get our families together. Yeah.
Your hangouts would be much more productive. I need to get some self-esteem so I can hang out with Symmetra. Yeah. You can be like, would you show me what this hard light technology is about? I'm just gonna say.
He does like chairs though.
She loves.
That was a good improv right there.
What about you, Michael? Do you have anyone that you'd like to hang out with?
I would totally hang out at the Watch Point, I think, with Winston. I think Winston would be really fun.
Of course.
And then like Tracer and Emily visit sometimes. That'd be cool.
I think that happens.
Tracer and I could watch the World Cup together.
Yes! Who would you be rooting for?
Tracer?
You.
Me. Who am I rooting for? I'm all out. Every single team I went for was
Darn.
good. So,
Okay.
yeah. I think the US might still win. There might be some like new rules that will come in or something. I don't know. I'm holding out hope.
All right, that's it, folks. Thank you, guys. Thank you.